You are now tuning in to the Evolution Daily Podcast. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your favorite podcast. This is the Evolution Daily Podcast. If you have not left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast app, then you should die. That's what you deserve. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple if you haven't done so already. Guys, I am here with somebody who I consider to be a good friend, who I've now known for years now, probably going on about 3 years. This is Travis Eaton. Travis, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
And Travis is you are a life coach, and you guys can follow Travis over, follow him on Instagram. You post a lot of good stuff over there. You actually posted a really fascinating article the other day that really blew my mind about how energy actually does, or I'm sorry, rather thoughts actually have energy. So you're always sharing a lot of your own content and then other good stuff as well. And you guys can follow Travis. I'll include the link down below to follow him on Instagram. It's Travis_TrueLife over on Instagram. So Travis, you used to be a cold-blooded killer. And now you're helping people process their trauma.
Yeah.
So I know that you already have various degrees, various certifications. You're working on even more right now. What made you, just kind of tell my audience, like, where did this start for you? Why did you want to start being a coach and helping people?
Yeah, man. I think it really came down to my childhood. My childhood was kind of rough. My mom and dad argued a lot, and I grew up as an only child too. And my dad had a lot of anger issues, and he was alcoholic and drug addict, and he's still, like, I don't know, you watch Shameless. My dad is Frank Gallinger to a T. Like, and don't get me wrong, he is a funny motherfucker, but some of the things that he does, like, good God, I remember sometimes I would go on to our neighborhood lawn, and he'll be passed out drunk at like fucking 9 a.m. And I'm like a 4-year-old poking my dad with a stick. There's beer cans all around him. He had a lot of like anger and just like trauma that he didn't let go of. And it really destroyed his relationship with my mother and everything. And I would just remember a lot of arguing with them, going back and forth. And he never physically abused her, but there was a lot of verbal abuse. And I grew up with that, and I was always wondering, like, I see my dad as kind of like a paradise lost in a way. He let his own inner bullshit ruin his relationship with my mother, ruin his life in general. And I was just really fascinated of, like, what made that happen, and if there was, something to really change that. And growing up too, I was very introverted and, bullied and, dealing with all the shit back at home. My social skills were fucking terrible. I didn't know how to talk to a girl. My dad never taught me how to talk to a girl. My mom never did. And I had to learn a lot of things even by myself, because my mom was always working 2 jobs. And I had to learn how to ride a bike by myself. I had to learn how to tie my shoes by myself. I had to deal with a lot of things by myself. And eventually I grew up and got in the game. And that was over a lot of my other bullshit, but I got in the game, and I was always really interested too of like this inner kind of thing when it comes to people, like what holds people back? What really holds people back? And how can I make sustaining, long-lasting growth, not only for myself, but for my clients too? And that led me on this crazy road of, getting these certifications, becoming a life coach and everything. But yeah, it really came down from my father, kind of understanding his own inner world, and also understanding my own inner world and what was holding me back from, my success.
Yeah. Now, without peeling the onion on my own psyche, too much here. I don't want to cry on this call, but you said something that kind of stuck out to me there at the beginning of this. You said you grew up as an only child, and you said that your parents were fighting all the time and it wasn't physical. And I feel like when you said that, it was like you've kind of really addressed that and pinpointed that in your life. And so for me, I talk about my brother a lot, but my brother wasn't born until I was 12. And by then, my parents' relationship actually had solidified in a lot of ways. So my parents are still together. They're actually very happy. They don't fight. They're very happy. But when I was a kid, I was an only child also, and my parents fought extreme. Mom screaming at dad, smashing shit. Dad fucking like going off as well. Never physical, but screaming. So, did you identify like what kind of effect did that maybe have on you, and what could it have maybe had on me?
I would say the effect it had on me is it made me very scared as a kid. My grandfather, who was my only real role model in my life, he would, as a kid, he would come and pick me up and babysit me. And one time, my mom and dad were fighting really bad, fucking broken glass everywhere. And my grandfather went through all that, went through a destroyed household, and he said it was the most bizarre thing ever. He would go to my room, and it was just me sitting on this chair playing video games. And it was just like, it was so bizarre to him because it was just like, kind of like a flower stuck around this whole tornado, like this flower just on this like destroyed fucking battlefield, basically.
Mm,
And he said it was like one of the most bizarre things. And yeah, for me, like I had a hard time expressing myself. I went to bed till probably, God, 10 years old, if that. Like, and that's pretty natural for a kid in a domestic kind of violence kind of situation like that. Yeah, I had a hard time expressing myself. My grades were fucking terrible, and which is crazy because I'm working on my master's right now. I'm sitting at 4.0. As a kid, like I just couldn't get it down. I could not get it down. So
mm,
yeah, it impacted me a lot, and it definitely impacts my relationships now. It definitely does. And I shot this video up about anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, secure attachment. Right now, I have a very anxious attachment when it comes to women sometimes because I, saw my ideal relationship, the role model of a relationship, which is, your first relationship that you see as a kid, your mom and your dad fucking going at it all the time. So a lot of times, like subconsciously, I had to deal with basically me, my kind of view as a relationship as something to be conquered and something to overcome. Like, hey, I need to do all this, and then the woman will love me and stuff. And it's just like that's not a relationship, really, or that's not a positive relationship. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, it did impact me, and it still does. I'm still unwiring a lot of things, and I'm always going to be unwiring a lot of things. I don't think things actually heal. I don't. I think you learn to deal with it a little bit better.
interesting. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way. I think that I used to, big concept I've been so big on lately is I used to always be going towards destinations, metaphorical destinations, always. This financial point, this quality of girl, this body, all of these like physical destinations, right? And the idea that I was recently introduced to, and I still can't remember who it was from. It doesn't matter. Is that you view these goals and these places you want to get to as the North Pole. Like I'm gonna get to this thing, but the thing keeps moving. It's false summits. It's whatever you want to call it. It's like you think you're gonna get somewhere, but ultimately a lot of these things, it needs to be that you, like for you, right? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, I might actually never fully heal the anxious attachment style I have. It might still rear up time to time, like an outbreak or something throughout your life, maybe. But so long as you're aware of it, so long as you're putting in the effort and the work to heal that part of you, now it's acting more as a north star, and it's now going to dictate and help you determine what your steps are and your behavior mechanisms and relationships and things. And so, I think that the more that anybody can kind of succumb to what you just said, which is that you don't even think you fully heal everything ever, maybe. And so I think a lot of guys listening to this podcast right now, they do just feel broken. They feel broken. They feel like they identify with their trauma and all of these things. Um, what for you? What for you has been something that you have found has helped your clients? And obviously, everybody's going to be so different. You have somebody coming to you, they're getting battered at home, and other kids just like struggling with college, and they think they have ADD. What's something for you that you think has had a very profound impact on maybe like the majority of your clients? If that question makes sense.
Yeah. So two things really come to my mind, and they kind of go into each other. There's an acronym I'm trained on. It's called AAC. And the first thing is awareness. And we're talking like core awareness. What is the problem? Because we can't deal with a problem if we're not aware of it. And I'm talking like getting to the very core. When's the first time you had these thoughts? When's the first time you had these feelings? Like what put me in that situation? And the next part is probably the hardest part for so many people. And a lot of my clients beat around the bush. It's acceptance. It's acceptance that this is a thing and it's a part of you, but it's not the whole you. And you're really just accepting that, hey, I got a problem. Like this is just me. And this is something I got to deal with. And once you really learn to really radically accept you as you, the next thing is choice. See, it's choice. Because you can accept what is, but just because you accept what is, it doesn't mean this is what it's going to be like in the future. You always have the choice. You're always in control. And the choice, it really kind of feeds into your values. What do you value? And values, I like the term North Star. I kind of refer values to the North Star too, because values are not a means to an end. It's just simply is the end. Hey, I value this. I'm going to head in this direction in my life. Yes, I got this shit I'm dealing with personally. Yes, like there's a lot of things that are kind of take me off the path of my values. But when you value something, you go with it. You go with it. For myself, I really value authenticity. I value freedom. I value wisdom too. So when my own inner fucking bullshit comes up, I dig deep in my values. I'm just like, hey, how can I like portray myself as authentically as I can right now? I'm kind of overcoming a relationship right now too, just being broken up with. And you learn so much about yourself during a breakup. You learn because it's stress. You learn a lot about your self under stress. And of course, a lot of my inner bullshit is coming up. And the best thing I can do is just be aware of how it's coming up, accepting that, hey, this is me, and this is going to come up eventually. The more you resist things, the more it's going to persist. And then, hey, how am I going to act in my values? I got this going on for me. I accept it. It's a part of myself. How am I going to act my values as a man to get me from point A to point B?
Yeah, I love that. And I think too that most men, especially, that's primarily who we're talking to. We've got about maybe 5 female listeners on this podcast now at this point. Most of them actually are just listening to see if I talk about them. But I think that what we don't value enough as a culture, I'll say, and when I say value, I mean like placing it as a value, as a North Star, I think is happiness, right? I mean, like, truly, it's not happiness. People are legitimately chasing fame, fortune, and it's not actually because they think it's going to make them happy. They don't even think about happiness. They think about how they're now going to look to everybody, and maybe this friend that slighted them, or people from their past that didn't believe in them, and it's a lot of that. And Esther Hicks, in one of her books, I'm always talking about Ask and It Is Given. It was either from that, or I listened to this audiobook by her called The Law of Attraction When It Comes to Money, or something like that. And something she talks about is, she says that there's nothing more important in this entire universe than feeling good. Feeling good, right? And to me, when I heard that, I was like, that's so interesting, because if we even use feeling good as our North Star, then think about the actions we would take on a daily basis if you're always moving towards feeling good. Now, of course, somebody could get very, you could get go into the semantics of that and be like, well, eating this pizza right now would feel good, and it would feel good every day, but ultimately it actually wouldn't, right? Because then you're going to start getting fat, you're going to start running out of breath when you're going upstairs, those types of things. But I think that when we look at relationships with other people, when we look at our daily actions, our career choices, all of these things, I think if we can really sit down outside of distraction and ask ourselves, okay, what's going to make me feel good? Like, really, just outside of money, outside of girls, outside of this car, this apartment, whatever, like, how can I feel good? And I think if more people ask themselves that question, I think we'd be on a better path as a society all around. I have been killing it with online game. I've been going on basically a new date every single night. But more importantly, my students have been killing it with online game as well, dominating on Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, all of these platforms. How have they done it? How have I been doing it? With Online Game Decoded. This was formerly known as PST. We decided to clean up the image a little bit. So if you already got PST, you got OGD. And if you don't have Online Game Decoded yet, you need to sign up. A lot of information out there is just kind of telling you what you should do online. What we've done is we've taken it a whole nother step further. Inside Online Game Decoded, you're going to receive over 30 online game breakdowns showing unique openers. So many of you guys send awful openers. I even hear this from girls. Guys are terrible at opening. It's going to give you unique openers. It's going to show you how to stack your conversations in a way where you're always moving towards a final destination, because guys are just rambling on and on. You get a little friend, just having a little conversation. You got to move to the end finish line. Our conversations show you how to do that, ultimately how to close. Again, you're getting over 30 breakdowns as well as 6 modules, including a module on how to craft the perfect profile. Many of you are putting out a billboard for an offer that nobody wants to buy. Online game profiles are your billboard. This is your offer. What are you putting out to the world? And so many of you are getting it wrong. You're spending hours a day and getting no results. Online Game Decoded is going to get you those results. Head over to onlinegamedecoded.com. The link will be down below wherever you're listening to this. Now enjoy the rest of the episode.
Yeah, definitely. I think just having that inner dialogue with yourself too, because in a lot of ways, like, we're still that child. We still have that inner child running around in our brains. And that child, I used to work with children. Of course, we all used to be children. Children can be pretty impulsive, and they do things just to feel good. Like, they eat that pizza just to feel good. And in a lot of ways, you got to learn how to be the parent to your inner child and have that dialogue with him or her and be like, hey, I understand, like, this may feel good in the short term, but in the long term, well, how do you want to feel? And a lot of times be putting down that pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that concept of being the parent to your inner child, and the loving parent, right? The loving parent, not the strict crazy parent, but the loving parent. And I did this exercise about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Oh, no. It would have been like middle of January. About like January 15th-ish, right around there. And because I went through my dark night of the soul, December 19th through January 19th. And it was literally those exact dates, because it started on the 19th. And Hunter and I were sitting in Miami after the summit, and we were sitting in the grass waiting just to go to the airport. And we had like 8 hours or something. And I'm sitting in the grass, and I looked at my calendar, and I was like, oh, today's exactly 1 month since the big event happened that threw me into like this downward spiral. And it happened while I was in Miami on December 19th. So I was like, dude, it began here on this day last month. It ends here on this day right now. But a great exercise I did that really kind of helped me to come out of it as well is I've been so big on this concept of looking at the past, present, and future as fact, and fiction. And what I mean by that is, there's evidence of the past, okay? We can say, yes, the only thing that exists is the present, but, I put this couch here in the past. There's evidence of the past. The past is a fact. If somebody died, it's a fact. Present moment, right here, right now, this is fact. The future, it's all fiction. You can think tomorrow you're going on a date with a girl, and then your fucking house gets hit with an asteroid. You don't know. The future is complete fiction. So what I think we're all falling into is this constant anxiety around the future, negative future, fantasizing, the business is going to go under, I'm going to lose my money, this girl's going to cut me off, like, what's going to happen when my parents die? Just fucking frantic, but you're frantic about fiction, right? So what I think is, and this was like a major breakthrough I had, and I did an exercise around it that I think you'll find interesting, and I think the audience will as well. What I think is, you got to look at the two facts, which are the present and then the past. And ideally, so guys like us who have been into game and self-development and you've done a lot of education, these things, you've grown a lot from the past. Most of us have been on some kind of a personal development journey. And really, if we could stop comparing ourselves to this fictional future, but rather having a conversation with our past.
Mhm.
So your current present, your current fact, having a conversation with the past, which is real. And so I did this exercise, and it was mind blowing. I cried. I actually cried hard. It was intense, bro. Uh, and I literally wrote out, and had you help me to kind of come up with this exercise. I wrote out what my I was picturing myself around like 15, 16. It was like around that age. I kind of really saw myself. And I wrote a letter to myself now from the perspective of like that 15, 16-year-old.
Mhm.
And dude, I was planning on it being short.
Yeah.
Dude, it was long and I was crying. It was insane. And the things I was like that were coming up for me that I was saying to myself is because at that time I was so down about a girl and about some other life stuff and just really down on myself, man. And I was writing out for my 15-year-old self. I was like just writing this shit like, holy fuck, dude, I'm like so proud of you. I can't believe that you've done this. Like, wow, I haven't even gotten laid yet. You fucked this girl. This is crazy. Like, I can't believe you moved to like all these things, right? I was really praising myself about my accomplishments and the way I feel and losing weight, like all this stuff. And I was crying. I mean, it was intense. And so I think that really, I mean, just the way I want to sum that up for anybody out there is it's just stop kind of worrying so much about this future that is very uncertain, but rather let's compare ourselves to who we were in the past and the growth we've made. And the sad reality is some guys actually are going to really feel like they haven't made much progress in the last 5, 10 years. And those are the guys that need fucking coaching. These are the guys that need to step it the fuck up. But you do a lot of kind of inner child work with people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Majority. Yeah.
Yeah. And so is there anything that you could kind of dish out that would be maybe either an exercise or something that you would want people listening to this to understand about potentially right now feeling bad about themselves or inferior, and then relating that to like just shit that straight up happened when you were like 5 and 6, because that forms so much of us later in life. What can you talk about with childhood trauma?
Yeah. So, I talk a lot about my parents. They did the best that they could. My dad did the best he could with the frame of mind he was working with. My mom did the same. But in a lot of ways, they were lacking. They were lacking many things. For one, I was lacking a male role model. I was lacking structure. I was lacking like so many things. And one thing I really bring my clients into is map out what your dad did right. Map out what he did wrong. Map out what your mom did right. Map out what she did wrong. And then from that, really understand who did you need as a kid? Like, who did you need? Like, what are some of the values? What are some of the things that your ideal parent, like, what does that look like? And for myself, it's structure, it's discipline, it's also love, compassion. And take those values and kind of work with them every day to kind of live in those values. Be the parent that you needed as a kid every day. So when that inner child does come up and he's just feeling bad or just feeling down, like the love between a parent and a child should be, I'm saying really should be the one of the most unconditional things on the face of the planet, just like the love for yourself. Now, it's not always like that. But when you look at your inner child, that same kind of little kid that's in your brain right there, and he's coming up and he's crying, and he just feels really bad, ask yourself too, what kind of parent do I want to be for this child right now? Do I want to hold him? Do I want to love him? Do I want to tell him it's okay? And do I want to show him, similar to you, hey, we have come so far. Like, let's really look back on how far we've came, and let's look back and really be grateful for all of the like things that we've done and the stress that we went through. Because sometimes it's really easy to look at the bad, and it takes work to turn your perception towards being grateful and looking at the positive of what was going on for you, and things that you've overcame.
Yeah, and what you said earlier too, I could imagine. I'd never heard the acronym before. Awareness, acceptance, and choice. But I could imagine that the acceptance is it's gotta be the hardest part. It's gotta be. Because
It
you can't,
is.
I mean, it's so hard just to logically tell somebody, hey, look at this part of you where like you're fucking petty or you lie or you do these, right? And then it's like, well, I don't want to do that. So it's like you're gonna resist and all of that. But you can't. There's that quote, right? It's like the fastest way around is through. And so if you know, there are these things about yourself that you don't like, you can't keep battling. You only have so much in you to fucking battle and to fight and fight. So if you can move into acceptance of that and say, look, this is who I, or not even, Hadia says this all the time. She's like, don't identify with actions. She's so big on that. She's like, don't identify with actions. So even if, like, let's just stick with the example I just gave, like somebody that lies a lot or something. David Goggins, I love when he talks about that because he's like, I would just fucking lie to everybody's fucking face. I'd come back 5 minutes later and be like, bro, I'm sorry, man, I lied to you. you know, he
Well,
always talks. He always talks about that. But it's like you can't identify with the action because if you're like, oh well, I'm a liar. It's like, no, man, you've lied, you've done something, but that's not who you are at your core, right? So not identifying with the actions. And so it's like the more you kind of stop fighting and you say, okay, this is what I've done for a long period of time. I need to now recognize why I've done this. And for a lot of people, it's ego. It's ego protection, it's ego status. I heard something great the other day about how the ego does not know itself unless it is in relation to others. The ego only can know itself and know what it is if it's mirrored to other people. So that's why as beings we're literally trying to fight for status all the time. We are run by the lizard brain that says status means living. Status means living because that's what it meant for years. If you had some status in the tribe, you got first dibs on food, first dibs on women, first dibs on shelter. Like that's the way it's always been. So we're still operating off of that, even though apartments and houses and everything is, even if you're literally poor, you can go sleep somewhere for free. So we're still operating off of all of that. And it's just, so it's getting to the root of figuring out, okay, I've been doing these things because of childhood traumas, all of this stuff, because it served me at one point or another in my life. I think it's pretty profound. And what I really want to make sure that we get to here on this podcast with you, and that I would like to really hit next, because I will kind of be hearing this for the first time as well, is you were, I don't know what you were like in high school. I don't know how into personal development you were or anything. I'd love for you to talk to my audience a bit about the decision to go in the military, what you feel like you either got out of that or what that was for you, and then what then led you from the military to now going into life coaching and furthering all of your credentials in that field.
yeah. Yeah, in high school, like I said, I was lacking, I was a nerd. I was a nerd. And I was a good kid. I didn't have a sip of alcohol or do anything degenerate until I was like 18, 21. Like I was such a good fucking kid. In the military, it really gave me meaning. Like I was too good of a kid. I didn't have meaning. I didn't have like I wasn't shaking the boat around at all. Like I didn't know what I was wanting to do. And my grades sucked, and I was just like, man, I really want to go into the military because, for one, I love my country. I do. I got the American flag tattooed on my right arm. I love freedom. That's one of my major values is freedom, the freedom of choice and just freedom of expression, just freedom in general. And to be honest, man, I really want to experience war. I really wanted to put my fucking psyche down into the gutter and really just go hard and really see like some really just, I don't know, in a lot of ways, it's really just bad things and go through that struggle. I wanted struggle. That was a major thing. I wanted struggle. And then, yeah, I joined the Army infantry, right after high school and went through basic training, everything. About probably 6 months from graduation, I was deployed to Afghanistan, and that was a lot of fun. I told you a lot of stories around that. A lot of combat type shit, a lot of patrols, just a lot of shit. I stayed in the military. I rose through the ranks very fucking fast. And one thing I realized looking back on it, I really valued independence too, And in the military, like, you think in the military, like everyone's just so in a box and everything, and they're so, strict and everything. Some of the best leaders and non-commissioned officers I've served with are degenerates, flat out fucking degenerates. And they drink, they smoke, they say whatever, and they do whatever. And they go through the ranks pretty fast. And there was a good leader that I had, Staff Sergeant Sutton. Man, this dude, he's like fucking 50 years old. He was an E6, a staff sergeant. And this motherfucker would curse all day, smoke, drink, probably cheat on his wife. God knows how many fucking times. Like, he was the ultimate infantry man. Like, he went on so many deployments, like, just fucking crazy. And he told me, I got a lot of like mentorship from him as a leader. But I asked him, like, Staff Sergeant Son, like, what is the major thing that really builds upon a leader? And he said, just thinking out of the box, doing you, literally just doing you at the end of the day. Be like, hey, everyone's going in this direction. I actually want to go in this direction. Y'all can come with, but this direction's a little bit smarter. Like, doing you and living authentically to you. And I love that. And I kept going through the ranks. I went to Germany, deployed again, and all this other stuff. But eventually, I don't know, man, like the military, like it hit one of my values, freedom, but didn't hit all of it. And I was kind of living on a whack myself a little bit. Like I kind of got bored of it really. And don't get me wrong, there was some good times, and 25% of it was really awesome. And the other 75% was just like, oh my fucking God, just mundane bullshit. And of course, there was a lot of PC type things going inside the military. So I was just like, no, I think it's time to leave. And I honestly, tell you the truth, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do once I got out. I was just like, I really want to finish my education in psychology. Because I love studying human behavior. Like, human beings make all of this. Like, what a fascinating thing to study. Why do we do this? So I continue on with that, and I was just like, halfway through my degree, I'm just like, this is my fucking shit. Like, this is cocaine to me. Like, I love it. I want to continue to study it. And that led me to get my coaching certificates, and that led me to do my master's degree. And I feel like there was a major calling to really, as a coach, one of the things I really value is curiosity. Like, why do people do the things they do? And I learned so much from my clients that I take, to my education and just my own life in general. So I feel like even coaching in a way is just another way I just keep learning more about human behavior. I do love it. I love it so much.
What's going on, man? I know that you're enjoying this episode of the Evolution Daily podcast. I would like to personally invite you into the Evolution Daily Secret Mastermind. Now, this is my inner circle. This is our tribe. This is our squad. What you get when you sign up for the Evolution Daily Mastermind today is you get access to our weekly group coaching call. I am present on all of these calls. You get your questions answered. I give a sermon. Other guys on this call are dishing out amazing advice. And what we've created here is a community that so many men need. You right now, you're into game. You want to start a business. You want to get jacked, but you're not surrounded by people that are helping you along that journey. Come get help on that journey. We have the most active and incredible secret Facebook group on the entire internet. There are guys in this group. The guys that have flocked to the mastermind are guys that are out taking action. They're winning at life. They post exclusive content. I post exclusive content daily. There is so much for you here in the secret mastermind. Click down below and you'll be able to find out more details, and you can sign up. We offer a monthly program, and then we offer a one-time lifetime membership to the mastermind. Yeah, I was talking about that on the mastermind call last night that you were on, and I talked about how when I first started Evolution Daily, it wasn't from this passion of helping people. It wasn't. Yeah. It was just like, I want to stop delivering pizzas, and like I'm really good at games, so let me try to do the game thing. And people told me I should do it. But then when I did actually start coaching people, I would just be like, after a Zoom call I was really using Skype in the early days. I'd just be like so on fire from the call, and the dudes on there like, bro, thank you so much. Like, like I'd be so on fire, and from boot camps and everything. And so then I discovered about myself, and I guess I always kind of knew, like maybe giving advice made me feel good, helping a friend, that kind of thing. But then because I just put myself in the position to be coaching, I then discovered, oh fuck, I love coaching. I love this. It lights me up. I'm on fire after a coaching call or after a boot camp or during. And so I think it's yeah, I think it's profound. I wrote down a note a few minutes ago. I wanted to ask you about this. So you talk a lot about freedom and how you like. It sounds like that's like your guiding. That's the North Star for you in a lot of ways. It's maybe one of a couple.
Yeah.
Have you ever found that I want to take this into relationships, right? Romantic relationships. Because I think a lot of guys struggle with monogamy, not cheating, these types of things. And I think a lot of that comes from freedom. But then also I've done a lot of crazy research too. And I've been getting really deep into Teal Swan. And I think it comes from other stuff too. Have you ever struggled with yourself either debating, do I want to be monogamous? Am I going to lose freedom? Have you been in a relationship where you felt like you didn't have the freedom? Has your yearning for freedom interfered with romantic relationships?
That's a good question. I would say getting into a romantic relationship has definitely it's kind of tough because, when you think freedom, you think, possibility, like go so many directions really. And that made me kind of difficult to get into some romantic relationships. Well, once I'm in a romantic relationship, there's a lot of freedom in there that's not explored really. And what I mean by that is just like you have a companion and you have someone, if, hopefully he or she values, the same things that you value. It's good having that person that, can really facilitate more freedom. And I'm a strong believer in marriage. I'm a strong believer in monogamy. And, if you're in a poly or, open relationships or anything like that, that's fine. But I feel like there's freedom. It really does go with relationships. You learn there's a certain freedom that comes with discipline too. And that's kind of one thing that, I kind of shy away from: discipline, closing off your boundaries. You're instead of like your lens being open up here, energy flowing out up here, it's flowed into one direction really. And that's more powerful. One direction of one human being. So I feel like there's a lot more freedom when it comes to just having like one human being in your life. Don't get me wrong though, it's hard to find that one human being when you value freedom and you just want all this. But when you do find that one thing, it is definitely a guiding.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying too, I think you're right. The discussion doesn't really occur enough about the freedom that does come with a fully monogamous relationship, because ultimately, if you look at there's really like one thing that is going to make you cheat or want to be with all these other people, right? Which is that sexual desire. It's that sexual prowess of wanting other women and this and that. But that's kind of it. It's almost like if you could just eliminate. I've joked about this for years. I always just mention I'm gonna get chemically castrated. I'm gonna get my libido removed from my body, because it is really it's insane. Like what being horny will make you do. I mean, I'm driving down to fucking Texas next month, like for no reason other than have sex for 6 days. I mean, it's absurd. And even after I booked the whole trip and everything, I'm like, what am I doing? But also I really care about this person. It's a lot about the connection and the fun we're gonna have and that kind of thing too. But you are right, because I mean, the amount of time I spend and other guys that are really into the game, the time and money on dates, several dates, getting to know these girls, this and that, the mental energy, the mental focus, the texting of getting to know this person versus like what yours. So now that's kind of like the tendrils, right? All over the place energy versus you just have that side of your life met. It's met. It's taken care of. You've got this ideal wife, and I think that's the big key, is this being an ideal person. And I love you always talk about values. And for me, like that's something you brought up, you bring up a lot of the mastermind calls as well. And for me, I really discovered in my last relationship how much I value working out.
Yeah.
I do not need a girl to be a supermodel body. It's not some like shallow thought where I'm like, I need you to be a fitness model body. But there is something to me that even when a girl's not in like the best shape, that it just says so much about somebody that they're going to the gym, that they're working out. You are unnecessarily and intentionally putting yourself under physical pressure and pain to become better, to feel better, to look better, all these things. And the last girl, not the last one, but like 2 girls ago that I was very serious with, she just didn't work out, and it bothered the fuck out of me. And she looked good; it was fine, like her body was fine, but it bothered the hell out of me. And now I realize, and I put that on my dating app bios. I bring that up with girls. I'm like, yo, I need you to be like working out on the reg because it just says something about the soul. And so yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack there about freedom and about making sure that you are with the right person. Have you ever had a situation where you were with a girl for a while, it was good, and then you do start to realize our values are we're totally out of whack. Like it's just we're not gonna be together for 50 years.
Yes, yeah, and that is a hard conversation to have sometimes. And you really got to be true to yourself too. You got to be like, and you can really, you can lie to yourself. No one can lie to you better than you, because you know
Mm,
you, and you'll play these games. You'll be like, you'll kind of get these feeling like, man, like maybe I shouldn't be with this girl. Man, this is probably really unproductive, and you just kind of lie to yourself, and it just adds up, and eventually you're kind of just like, man, where the fuck am I? I'm not following that North Star anymore. I'm way over in left fucking field. Like, what's going on? I definitely found myself in relationships like that. And you gotta call it off eventually, and you know it. Like, you got to listen to your intuition a lot. People, I see it as a triangle. Like, you have your thoughts, your feelings, and your intuition. And your thoughts and your feelings, they make up your intuition. But people only listen to their thoughts sometimes, or they get wrapped up in their feelings. But your intuition, it's something more powerful. Like, it's a fucking gift from God, really. It's that gut that says, hey, I shouldn't be fucking doing this. Or, hey, I should be doing this. It's your guiding light, your path. And a lot of people don't listen to it, or they don't know how to listen to it. They're just like, oh yeah, I feel a little off right now. Maybe what's going on? And you're thinking about it, or you're trying to like feel your way through it. No, your intuition's saying something to you. So yeah, I've had a lot of times where my intuition, where I'm just like, yeah, like I'm not even gonna listen to it, and then it fucking bites me in the ass. Like, I spend a lot of time on women that yeah, I just shouldn't, and
yeah.
that's more on me. But
Yeah, and also I think that one of the things that I kind of actually hate about society, and I've talked about this a little bit about kind of really turning my back on a lot of degenerate culture, and I kind of like hate the ruthless nature of relationships in today's society. And a lot of times it's a funny meme. It's like Hoodville or something, or it's like call her daddy girls just being a little ridiculous or whatever. But like just the savage way that people break up with each other now and ghost and like all of this. And I think it doesn't get talked about enough, but I think that like breakups are some of the most traumatic experiences you'll ever have in your life. There's this emo song by this band called the Spill Canvas, and the song's called The Tide. And I've been listening to this song ever since I was like 17. And he says in this song something I always think about. He says in the song, he goes, I don't understand how everyone goes on living when true love ends.
mhm.
And it's like, yeah, bro. Like I've had breakups where it's just like I'm dying. I'm fucking dead. Like, dude, I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm dead. And I think that everybody is experiencing that. And you're kind of not supposed to say that you're dead, that you're dying, that this relationship destroyed you, that the breakup destroyed you. So for you in that situation you're talking about, and I think what most people are, I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying about denying the death of a relationship and not and knowing like deep down that intuitive part of you, like you said, like that soul in you. No, it's like your soul, right?
Yeah.
Knowing, oh, this ain't gonna do it. But then the ego's like, no, like stay alive, stay alive. You're fine right now. You're fine. You're fine. But it's because it doesn't want to die. And just like I said earlier, with the ego relating to others in a form of status, I think also what happens is the ego then when you pair bond with somebody, whether that's a really strong friendship, a romantic relationship, that's typically going to be the heaviest of these situations. I think now your ego kind of starts to bond also with the other person's ego and identify with it as well. And we see this with couples, like couples that are just inseparable. And sometimes it's healthy, sometimes it's not, usually not probably. But you could just tell, like they identify as like Morgan and Jake now. It's like Morgan and Jake are they're a one unit. And the breakup would just be catastrophic and oftentimes is. I think breakups can just be some of the most painful shit we go through.
Yeah, man, it really can be. And I was talking to my roommate last night, mostly about, the breakup I'm currently going through. And breakups, they show you interesting things about you. In reality, like logically speaking, hey, two people, two different personalities, two different energy wavelengths, they don't connect anymore. Is that a bad thing? Yeah, it don't connect. Like we all grow as human beings and we all change, and that's totally fine. We don't connect anymore. But sometimes breakups, it can really show you a lot of things about the ego. And when I say ego, I refer to ego as your identity. I don't think it's anything bad. It's part of you. It's your identity. It's what you identify as. This is how you make order from the chaos of life. It's your identity. And it can show you some like really, really kind of really interesting things. And a lot of times it's not the breakup that's bad. It's your perception that the breakup is bad. Like sometimes you actually need to get away from a woman. I know of my own life, my first girlfriend too, that was a fucking horrible relationship. Horrible. She got me on Afghanistan, and I just kept running back, mostly because I didn't know how to interact with women. But eventually it led to a really just toxic type of event in my life and just really just destroyed me even more than, it was supposed to really. So yeah, breakups do show you some interesting things about you, really.
Okay, bro. So right now you're at a spot in life where you need direction, you need guidance, you need coaching. I would like to tell you right now that I just reopened my 5-week mentorship program. Oftentimes, I will close it for long periods of time because I get so many students on there that it's not really scalable for me to keep it open. But right now, if you're listening to this, then the 5-week Evolution Daily one-on-one mentorship with me is available. We're going to be attacking all areas of your life. We're going to be helping you to get into great shape, how to go out and meet women. I'm going to be holding you accountable, making you do approaches every single week. We're going to have you facing your fears, breaking down traumas, going from a guy that is currently stuck and doesn't know where to go to now being on an incredible direction forward and upward. Again, this is a 5-week mentorship one-on-one with me. You're going to be doing 5 one-hour calls with me, and we're going to be skyrocketing your life to the next level. This is all available over at evolutiondaily.com. You can go ahead and just click the link down below, and you will be able to access the mentorship. Sign up soon because this is going to close again very, very soon. I look forward to working with you on the mentorship. Yeah, and what you're saying too is we're always fighting. I think there's a battle eternally between the logical mind and the emotional mind, or emotional soul, or heart, or whatever you want to call it, because we know it. Like logically, it's like if you're in pain right now from the breakup, logically you can just say that, you know it. Okay, 2 people, we're not a batch anymore, whatever. But it just hurts. It's like, fuck, it does. It still just hurts. And it's always so hard when you're in it, but it's like, man, I always tell people one thing I love to tell people is that truly there is almost no, I believe that there's things you can do to let's say treat the symptoms of a breakup. There's things you can do. Look at the perception, do some journaling around it, have some logical explanations. But I think truly the only cure is time. I think time is the only cure. And then once you're far enough out, you're looking back and you're like, why the fuck did I even like her? What the fuck was I thinking? What was I doing? And back to what you said about the girl when you were younger, cheating on you, very toxic relationship and all of that. At that time, you probably didn't think you could do any better.
Yeah.
And that's a major, major danger that I see happening, and people shit all over pickup all the time, and like in the idea of hooking up with all these girls. I'm like, that's fine, bro. I'm married. Well, I don't know what the statistic is today, but I'm sure it's just going higher and higher. Last I checked, I believe it's like 52% of all marriages in the United States end in divorce,
Yeah.
over half, and I'm sure that's going higher and higher. And I believe that what it really comes down to is a couple things, but one of the things that shocks me is that we research a lot of things before we do them. We don't just go to a car lot and like, I want that one. You did some research on the car. How many miles per gallon? What can it get? You know, what can it? What? How long is it going to last me? Oh, this job. Let me research the company. Let me research the job requirements. We research everything. Diet. What am I going to eat? But like people do not think to research the dynamics of being a man in relation to a woman and relationships. And I think that there's only even that. It's like there's only so much you can research before you actually learn from experience in this field. And so I'm always talking about having your PhD in females 101, female psychology 101. It's like get out there, see what you don't like in relationships, see what you do like, what you value. I could have married the girl that took my virginity when I was 19, and she was overweight then. She's even more overweight now. And then I could have discovered, oh, I really value fitness, and now I'm yelling at her to like get in the gym or something. It's like you gotta figure yourself out. And I think that's what is so profound about wherever somebody takes the pickup journey. Someone wants to, I've banged 1,000 girls in the last 5 years, whatever. I mean, like, I don't recommend that. But I think that at least get to a point where you see what you're capable of, because also seeing what you're capable of is going to help you to not put up with a lot of the shit that people put up with in relationships. I was in Vegas one time, and I was with my ex-girlfriend when I was it was the first girlfriend I got from game. I was 6 months into the game, and I started hooking up with this girl, and I'm like, do you want to, like, I don't know, should we just be together? And she's like, yeah. So we start dating, and we're in Vegas together, and I will just never forget, dude, there was this overweight white woman and her skinny white husband,
Mhm.
and or maybe long-term boyfriend. And dude, we're in line to go see the what is that called? Love, the Cirque du Soleil, and we're in line to see that. And bro, in front of their friends, it's like those two and another two. This woman is just making fun of this guy relentlessly. Her husband, she's like, well, I mean, if you would have went to this company instead of that company, then maybe we could have been staying at Caesars also with them instead of the Tropicana. I mean, roasting his income, roasting how dumb he is, making fun of his shirt, this crazy shit. And the only reason that man was in that, and dude, like I was about to step in. I really wanted to just be like, shut the fuck up, and then yell at him and be like, yo, leave her now, go. But the only reason he sticks with that is because it's all he thinks he can get.
Yeah.
He looks around at all these other women that he's more attracted to, and forget physical attraction, like that also would just be better people. He doesn't feel worthy of getting them. Do you feel, I would like to kind of sum up that point by asking you, because this is something I've been really big into for the last like year, I would say. Have you struggled with and worked on, both with yourself and with clients, self-love, and that self-loving and knowing, oh, I am deserving of something better, being treated well, those types of things?
Yeah, definitely. It's a journey. There's no end to self-love. You're not going to be 100% loving of yourself. Especially when I came into pickup. So a little bit back to like my first girlfriend, the relationship became so and so toxic. And Aaron, I told you this story, that eventually me and her hooked up one night and we were drunk. We didn't have sex or anything, but she woke up and she was just like, this mistake, I'm with so and so and all other shit. And then the next day I went to like jail for being accused of rape, because she didn't want to explain to her boyfriend that, hey, this happened. And that sucked for like 9 months. I was in a really, really dark spot, like the darkest hole you can possibly imagine. And eventually I got out of that. And I remember the night I got out of it, I went out with my buddies. We got so fucking hammered, so just degenerately hammered. And I came back to the barracks and I Googled like how to pick up girls. and I passed out to like this RSD video. I woke up, Tyler's fucking face is on the computer, his fucking beard, everything. Julian's laughing in the background. And I was just like, what the fuck was I watching last night? Then down the rabbit hole I went. But for me going into pickup, really, there was a lot of like self-hate. There was a lot of self like judgments and a lot of like just this, I wasn't secure in myself. And I see this so much of men. It's kind of like we're on fire. You can see it when you don't work on yourself. You can see when someone else is on fire. And when I say they're on fire, they don't feel good enough in themselves. They don't feel whole enough, and they're doing external things like pickup or something to become whole enough, and they can't allow themselves to be whole. And that's a whole journey in itself. And I definitely do help my clients with that. And one thing I kind of realized myself too, especially when it came to pickup, was I kept going in these loops. Like I would go up and down, up and down. And I'm just like, man, some days I'll just be fucking crushing. Some days I'll just be like, what's going on? And I felt like a stock was just falling. And I realized like I wasn't really being loving myself. Like, and when I say loving, we say self-love sometimes as kind of like a pussy ass thing. Like, hey, let's wrap ourselves up in a blanket and cry. Sometimes being loving yourself is really going for it, really going for your goals, really going for what you want in life, because you're not doing things because you're not good enough. No, you're doing things because you are good enough. You're doing things because, similar to that parent and child type aspect, that child, as a parent, you want the best for your fucking child, just like you should want the best for yourself. I was realizing like I wasn't pushing hard enough. I wasn't pushing hard enough in life because I didn't love myself, like flat out. And this is something I really work my clients a lot with too. A lot of people try to get acceptance from other people. They try to be, I don't know, they want other people's acceptance. But sometimes the acceptance that you need is the acceptance of yourself. And one thing I'm really working on right now with, my own kind of like method going in relationships, having this like anxious kind of attachments. And then sometimes I just need to be heard, like I'm loved and just seen and stuff. Sometimes as human beings, like we can't give love. And when you're in a relationship, sometimes you can't give love 100% of the times because you're fucking human. So what? Okay, this girl that you love, she's fucking having a bad day. She can't tell you like she loves you, or she just goes home and she just passes out. And what, you're going to feel scorned because she had a bad day because she didn't tell you she loved you? Like there's a lot of things you need to do. The things that you want from other people, you can get from yourself. You can be loving yourself. And like I said, being loving of yourself is really going for what you want in life and really living in those values and being authentically as you can, going for the shit that you want in life.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And I think something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I believe I read this in one of Osho's books, is that fear is the emotion that drains us physically the most, right? And so tying that in with what you said about loving yourself and then deserving something, right? Mm-hmm. So we can look at like taking the same action. Let's say the action is going out and talking to women, right? I'm going to go out and talk to women tonight at the bar. Well, from one perspective, it's like I love myself and I deserve to be happy and I deserve to have sex. I deserve to have great sex. I deserve to have a great girlfriend. I'm going to go talk to women. I'm going to present myself to the world. And then the other part is I'm a loser for not having any girls in my life. I'm pathetic. I can't get laid. I'm going to go talk to girls tonight. And so then where that ties into fear is self-hatred in and of itself is fear. It is fear. The not accepting, the not liking yourself is actually a mechanism within you because you fear not surviving, not thriving, not winning, not fulfilling your parents' idea of who you are. All these things you're fearing. So you hate yourself really as a defense mechanism to take action and to try to like fill that hole and to get these things that you think you want. But everything in life, you can be taking these same exact actions from the place of self-love, and it's all just going to flow easier. Had you yelled at me years ago, a couple years ago, she's like, Aaron, I noticed that you always say that you work hard. What if you worked in grace instead? And I was like, fuck that. I'm not working in fucking grace. I'm like, I like argued with her about it. I'm like, no, listen, I need to say that I'm working hard. And then, later on, I think in my own development, I kind of did recognize, oh, I have days where I get done more than I ever get done other days. And it feels peaceful and fun and easy and great. Like
Yeah.
there really is this like next level of working from that place of joy, happiness, love, desire, soul's desire, versus got to put the post out because I need money, because I want the business to build, because I need to be present, right?
Mhm.
That anxious sort of energy that will come. So, yeah, bro. Well, this was phenomenal. I think we've done about an hour now. Dude, what so Travis underscore true life on Instagram. And I think you do some various kind of like assessments with people. And so I don't know what your method is with a call or an onboarding or anything like that. How can people work with you? What do you offer?
Yeah, so I do the Energy Leadership Index assessment, and this is an assessment that shows your energy. And when I talk about energy, two types of energy, anabolic, catabolic. Anabolic, reflecting in your brain, is the positive thoughts that's going on in your brain. And it's also, when you think about energy too, it's also going on at the chemical level, dopamine, serotonin, all that going on in your brain, anabolic. Catabolic, it's more negative energy, it's tearing you down, negative kind of thoughts popping around in your brain. It's associated with, adrenaline, cortisol. And this assessment, it really breaks down your perception on a good day and bad day of how much anabolic and catabolic energy you have. And from there, so much growth can be done. So if you do want to work with me, give a free assessment. I also give a free like debrief and everything just to see, hey, what's going on with you right now? Well, how are we like, what's your mind on a good day? What's your mind on a bad day? And then from there, if you do decide to work with me, good 12 weeks, and then you take an assessment afterwards because this assessment gauges your growth over time. So it's a wonderful thing. But yeah, you can easily sign up at my Instagram. It'll direct you straight to my website there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for being on the show, bro. I would love to have you on again, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome, bro. I'll see you. I appreciate it.